Hello, welcome everybody to another episode of Savage Shaman Sessions with your host, Kukiwa Bahlam, Savage Soliloquy, whatever you want to call me, CBs. And today we are talking about the power of philosophy, or simply philosophy. I'm gonna get straight to the point. What is philosophy? A lot of people probably like, hey man, I know what the hell philosophy is, but philosophy is your worldview, your mindset or your school of thought. It's basically how you see things. It's how you see the world around you. It's how you see people. It's how you see stuff such as animals and, just everything around you. You build some type of philosophy throughout your lifetime um, for your mind to process what you see. When we're young, many of us believe that we created our own philosophy. We think we made ourselves. We tend to think we're super unique. Which we all got our uniqueness to a point, but we're unique. We're a unique species for real, but we are a species as us being the same. So a lot of the stuff we go through is kind of universal for almost anybody. And a lot of people when they're young, there's like some people they're able to break through this even in their youth. People that get heavy praise to their parents, for what they did to them and stuff like that. But a lot of us, especially like in that teenage phase, the young adult phase, sometimes we think we made ourselves when, and when in reality is at this point, our philosophy is pretty much your surroundings, what your surroundings molded you into. Your parents, just your family, friends, the authorities in your life, whether through school or just the old cat on the corner that was giving you wisdom. It's just it's basically at that point what you are is your mind kind of deciphered all that stuff, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna take out what I feel is good and what I feel is not good according to my other philosophies, which are basically like the stuff your parents put in you. If you have parents close to you, your grandparents, stuff like that. Some people just don't, we just kind of sometimes don't realize that until, later years, like stuff like that. Some people never break that phase. Some people never break that phase of believing that they created themselves. And sometimes it leads to people kind of having like a selfish mentality, stuff like that. But as you mature, you either kind of stand on your philosophy, what you see in life, or you add to it. That's the only thing you can do. You can't take away from philosophy. It's there in your brain. It's either there as good information or bad information, but it's all part of your philosophy. And all you can do is add to it. We're talking philosophy. Want to talk about, matter of fact, while we talking about philosophy, let's talk about some historical, philosophers. A lot of people know about Plato and Aristotle. Even got Confucius. We got, man, it's so many ancient philosophers that, like the ones that kind of laid the groundwork for, the modern school of thoughts. And those are kind of like some of the Greek ones. There's some that go further back, in African culture, some other cultures around the world. There's so many just schools of thought that you can study forever. Some of the more modern philosophers, like Marcus Garvey, Martin Luther King, Huey Newton, even comedians like George Carlin, Dave Chappelle, artists like Lupe Fiasco, Immortal Technique, people that are just like speaking truths through their platform, speaking school of thoughts for people to act upon to do something, and a lot of these people have some big followings, it's not always as deep as you think. Like, when we think of philosophy, we always thinking way, way back. But, people like Dave Chappelle, if you listen to a lot of these comedian shows, they're telling you some truths, with just such a deepness around it that, you can't help but understand it. Either you understand it or you're going to hate them. It's just, you have no other choice. People like Dr. Sebi, he was speaking of philosophy of, eating better, a more healthy lifestyle. People like Timothy Leary, Terrence McKenna, Alan Watts, some of the guys that were pioneers in the psychedelic world. Even like we say, the drunken master on the corner, the wino on the corner that was giving you that wisdom while you was growing up. They was probably drunk as hell, but it was some tidbits of some philosophies they gave you. Some of it, they say philosophy is like I hate to use the chicken and bone analogy because I don't eat meat, but it's basically like eating the meat and spitting out the bones. You add on with that, and them just some good people to look up and learn from. Like I can give you a long list of people. Those are just kind of who are just kind of on the mind right now, and through like some of the notes around me. What are some school of thoughts? I forget, like Karl Marx, and it's just like it's a lot of these people. If you notice, a lot of these people were kind of hated throughout their lifetimes. People like Marcus Garvey, Martin Luther King, even Plato, Aristotle, Confucius. Some of these people were put to death. A lot of these people were assassinated. A lot of these people had some hard lives just to push these philosophies. People like Huey Newton. Oh my goodness. Shoot, Dave Chappelle just got in trouble for speaking some stuff in his show recently. Artists like Lupe Fiasco who fight to get, that mainstream type love. But, it's hard for them to get it because they're speaking truths that a lot of people don't want to hear. People like Immortal Technique, stuff like that. They're putting these school of thoughts that either convict you or, they're going to challenge your lifestyle to, for you to improve your lifestyle. What are some school of thoughts? Some school of thoughts that you can look up and find some wisdom from are like nihilism, which is like the thought of nothingness. I'm getting tongue tied because I need some water. Stoicism, hedonism, Marxism, you got like this positive thought thing, just think positive thoughts and, your life will just go there. Rationalism, people that just like kind of try to rationalize everything. And certain forms of rationalism, it's sort of like they try to rationalize things according to a certain philosophy. So rationalism that school of thought relies on other school of thoughts for it to kind of work. But what is the significance of all this? First off, you need to kind of study some of them. Those are some of the school of thoughts that make up almost everything you watch, almost all your entertainment, almost all your education in all of your colleges, high schools, elementaries, even down to daycares. That's literally all that stuff is shaped from. It's the foundation of all of it. comes from some of them school of thoughts. So if you kind of understand the basics of them, you kind of can wiggle through life a little bit better. Your philosophy controls your daily life. How you see the world affects everything you do. If your philosophy is that outside is scary, that, you know, just it's nothing good out there, you're probably never gonna leave the house. Shoot. If your philosophy is that everybody got germs and viruses that's gonna kill you at any moment, you know that's the philosophy you go on. You probably like you probably ain't gonna come out the house either. You know you're gonna try to stay away from people as much as you can. You know it just affects everything you do, literally everything. How you eat, how you look at stuff, how you look at beauty, how you love, how you treat people. It literally affects everything you do. If your philosophy is that, you know, people like you are superior to everybody, so you don't got to treat people like anything. You can just treat them like shit because, you know, you superior. That's gonna come out in your daily life. You know, you're gonna be an asshole for real. It just is what it is. And it's impossible to test the morality of your philosophy without like an outside challenge. You know, let me repeat that. It is impossible to test the morality of a philosophy or your philosophy without an outside challenge. And basically what that means is like, if you're not getting information from somebody else's point of view, you're literally blocking yourself from growing. You're literally blocking yourself from learning things. You're literally blocking yourself from, you know, being the full you or mastering anything, because you'll never master anything if you don't get somebody else's perspective from it. That don't mean you got to listen to everybody's literally like opinion, but, you know, study somebody else's perspective. You know, somebody might have an issue with a method you use or something, and you understanding their issue with it could help you improve your method, or it could just be some nonsense that you just brush off. But it can also help you improve your method to master level heights. You know, you got to challenge yourself, and you can't challenge yourself with your own intellect. That's impossible. You know, your own intellect is going to save itself. You know what I'm saying? You're always going to be right to yourself. You know what I'm saying? You're always going to be able to wiggle some way to be correct in any situation with yourself without reaching out to some type of outside knowledge, you know, because you just don't know. You're only one person. You only got two eyes, two ears. You know what I'm saying? You got a spirit to learn stuff too, but unless you learning from other people, other schools of thought, your worldview, your philosophy is very limited, you know, and it could be harmful to you, you know, or it could just be, you know, you could just be, well, they say ignorance is bliss. If you don't know, you just don't know. You know, you could be cool with that your whole life, but, you know, you could also grow. Also, what's the significance of philosophies? You got to think about it. Racism, capitalism, communism, sexism, ageism, all these other isms. These are school of thoughts. These are philosophies, you know, and that's just to show you how powerful a philosophy can be. A philosophy can take you into a whole nother world. If you think black people are less than animals, you're going to be racist. You're going to be prejudiced, you know. You're gonna join into the racist system. If you think women ain't nothing but kitchen slaves, that's what you're gonna think. You're gonna be a sexist. You know, you're gonna frame every part of your life, every part of your thoughts according to that. You know, your wife might be the smartest person in the freaking world, but you'll never know because you were just a asshole because you think only men can be smart. Other way around, you know, with women, like they think men just dummies, you know what I'm saying? Like they limited themselves to, to this box. We limit ourselves to these boxes by putting other people in boxes, But the truth is you can't put anybody in a box. You kind of just building your own box. That's why it's very significant to, understand what is your philosophy. What is your philosophy? And once you kind of like it takes time to understand it, because it's a lifelong journey to understand your philosophy. Unless like you some master scholar that's digging deep, and even then it's still a lifetime of digging in and digging deeper. But it's satisfying to the soul. It leads you to different levels in life. It leads you to test life. Instead of being scared to go travel, you just got to go out there. Look at some other people's stories that were scared to jump on the plane. It might help you. Going to the next point, and the last point. How do we strengthen our philosophy? You have to test it. You have to test your philosophy. You have to test it. Do you got a funny feeling towards a certain group of people? Towards a certain person, you know what I'm saying? Towards certain things, certain actions, like you might have to test that to see if you right or just being an asshole. And like I say, that ain't just listening to people's opinions, but testing other school of thoughts of why that might be right or might be wrong. You might agree with them why it's wrong, even though it's an action that you do. But if you don't open your mind up to that, you'll never get to that point, where you're improving yourself, or improving your philosophy, improving your mindset, your worldview, expanding your worldview instead of building a box, which is the opposite. How do you test it? You have to learn more philosophies. You have, like I said, you got to learn outside philosophies. Sometimes you got to kind of, when you starting off, you got to go with people who kind of been tested over time, and who's been essayed on, and that's why it's good to sometimes to start with some of the great philosophers and kind of break down some of the stuff they wrote. Or now it's the age of knowledge, instant knowledge. You can literally go on YouTube and kind of see some breakdowns of some of these people. You can see videos of some of the modern ones and just kind of learn from them. Like, don't rely on just one view. That's the point we're getting to in in the first place. But don't limit yourself when you kind of like find somebody that's like, oh, I like this, dig in, but don't, that's not the end all of everything. So, let your life be a journey. This goes on to the next point. Don't grab on to pet knowledge or rituals. If you do grab on to a ritual, let it be your own ritual or your own interpretation of a ritual. Don't grab on to just some pet knowledge. And pet knowledge is like when you just find something that just feels so good, like, okay, I got to stick with this. Like, okay, this preacher, he didn't hit me with a good sermon. I'm pumped, like, ooh, you know what I'm saying? This is it. Like, learn from that person, learn from that group. But there's so many schools of thought that to rely on one school of thought is almost arrogant, because there's probably millions of schools of thought for real. But when you go to most of these, they kind of still dig into like some basic school of thoughts, which is kind of almost side by side with like our religions, how we believe in things, whether we really believe in magic or traveling out our bodies to, other planes, or whether we believe that just this is it, that's going to affect how you live. Whether you believe in a God or that there's more after this, whether the universe is alive, that's going to affect everything you do. Every thought that comes out your head, that's going to affect it. So you want to sharpen that as much as you want. So dig into a lot of philosophy, learn what you can learn. You don't have to become the master philosopher, but I'm telling you, start digging in. That's probably what it's going to lead you to, in a couple of years. So dig in and learn, and then teach somebody else. That's the easiest way to remember. Once you learn it, just pass it on to somebody else. And as the human mind is funny like that. Once you dig it in and once you teach it to somebody, it's like it's locked in your mind at that point. That goes with learning anything, whether you're in school or, just anything in life. Learn it, then try to teach it as quick as you can, to get that turnover, to lock it in your mind. And that is what it is. Correct what needs to be corrected and keep it moving. Don't get stuck in some religion for 50 years that you just like, okay, I'm cool. I mean, if that's your swag, that's your life, do what you do. I ain't even gonna, I really ain't telling you what to do, but it's like, this is how you strengthen your philosophy. This is the power of philosophy. Pretty sure that's all I got to say. Don't want to keep y'all too long, but this is your host, Kukiwa Bahlam, Laughing Jaguar. We are open for some healing sessions. Make sure you get in contact with us. Right now we are on savagecastle.org/shaman. Get in contact with us. We got healing sessions. We got, many different services. Check the website out. You can see that. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Savage Castle Productions, LLC, Savage Soliloquy. Get in contact with us however you can. We are definitely moving. We are a movement. We want to discuss some philosophy. It is what it is. But till next time, leave y'all in peace. Vibe greater.